Alright, today we're taking a look to see how the F-150 Flash Lightning does pulling a trailer that is significantly taller than the cabin. So this is a utility trailer, I believe 7x16 are the dimensions. We're about to look at the weight and show you. Tandem axle, it has its own brakes, and we're going to be hauling this in the sport mode where we get as much regen as we can get. And we're just going to kind of see, we've been doing quite a few different things. We just got through doing a video on this trailer, just how much it truly does affect the range on these. Because I think people are just getting a false idea of what's happening because people are flooring it, just doing crazy stuff. So we'll see some real life applications. Ford has definitely made it easy with all the cameras that they have started adding on these vehicles to hook up to a trailer. So I did take it out of the mode where it's one pedal driving. It's finally dark enough to where I can see this thing. So you just kind of aim the lines towards what you're wanting to go. Towards the end you have to cheat a little bit because the lines aren't really going to tell you what's going to happen. And then you can change over to this guy and you can kind of see over where you're approaching. So we'll back up just a smidge more. We'll get out there. And then, like I can't make that quit beeping. There we go. Like I've said in some other videos, you need to put this in park first, then put your e-brake on. Because if you don't, it's going to roll. But we'll get it hooked up and start this video. Our trailer here shows that you should never exceed the weight of 4,740 pounds. We also show here that this thing is rated for 7,000. So that would make me think this thing would weigh somewhere in the 2,400, somewhere like that range. Load it up with a little bit of weight to make it be equal to what we've done with this, which is about 4,250. So we'll put some weight in this guy and we will start our trip and see how it goes. I'm going to go ahead and add a trailer for this one and just see how it looks like. So we're going to call this guy, if it will let me type. Not sure where you type it. There we go. So we'll just call him the old 7x16. Because I'm pretty sure that's the only, well, we do have another one that is 7x16, so we're going to call this 7x16 enclosed. So we'll go ahead and do that, hit enter. So this has electric surge. Nope, it is just electric surge. There is no hydraulics. We'll hit next, and let's go ahead and put that on medium. Trailer measurements, this guy, ball to receiver. Good question. 16 feet of cargo, it's V-nose. I'm going to guess this guy's around 20. We'll just take a guess here. We can always fix it later. Width, and this is going to be the widest. Count the wheels, realistically, it's about 8 feet. So there we go. And that changed our range. That's kind of cool. So we'll kind of see how correct this would be. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in park, turn the vehicle off, open the door, and start it back. And this should clear us. It's got us in tow haul mode. Interesting. So trip one, we will go and clear that. That was for our generator we just did. And then we will go back to this trip as cleared as well. Sweet. So we're going to get out of our tow haul mode. I need to actually figure out what that does at some point. Go back to sport for regen since we don't have that much weight in here. And we'll go ahead and start off and we will keep you guys updated. Already got stopped by a light, but amazing. It stopped itself. Again, even with this behind me, I did not have to hit the brakes, which is nice. So I do understand why people do get such terrible mileage on this. It's amazing how effortless this truck is able to haul something. It's really like it's not even back there. So if you're used to just going as fast as you can and not wanting to try to get any type of economy, this thing probably would get a range of like 80 or 100 miles. But you can go so fast, so easily, so effortlessly pulling this trailer. So again, already noticing just a mile in with this particular trailer, the rear independent suspension it really feels like there's nothing back there. And so I'm taking off with a pretty big trailer behind and no problem at all. Not going to hit the gas really hard, or not really gas, but hit the accelerator pedal hard, because if I do, it'll mess up the whole point of this. So I'm going to do a reasonable acceleration. Right now we can only go 45. We do have some road construction, but we'll be maintaining 65 miles an hour on a trip that does take us pretty far uphill. So we will keep you up. 1.4 did get stopped by another light, which is not like the one I just did with the generator, but we're at 100% of our energy has went to driving. So very curious how this huge wind wall behind us is going to affect our mileage, because it is much taller. It does have a V-nose. The V-nose really doesn't make that big of a difference, but everything's running great. Our temperature is good. Everything just looks great. So we will take this same trip that we just took, which will be basically a little bit over 15 miles. It's a lot of uphill, and then 15 miles going back downhill. And not going to use Blue Cruise. I don't know if you can actually use Blue Cruise when the trailer's attached. Press the button, did what I usually do with just the vehicle, and it allowed me to use cruise control, but I could not use any form of Blue Cruise or hand assist, whatever it's called, and kind of made me a little bit sad. But once we get through this light, we have no other lights to stop at until we turn around. So that means the next 13.5 miles there and 13.5 miles back, there won't be any stops. So very accurate on not being able to recoup any of that regen, which is probably why we're still at 1.4. So we're gonna go ahead and take off here and update you. Honestly, about what I expected to be happening. So about 0.9, right under 1 kilowatt hour. Our other F-150, whenever we haul this trailer, we get about 7 miles per gallon doing 65. So not great, considering that truck usually gets quite a bit more than that. I can definitely feel the wind on this. It's not that it's making the ride terrible, it's just I usually don't have to use this much of the available energy to maintain 65 miles an hour. So we'll see. With all this uphill, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down even further. Approach the end of our trip here, still 0.8, going up yet another hill. And we're looking like we did 1%, 98 and 1%. So not bad at all, but it definitely pulled it like there was nothing behind there. Just kind of incredible. So I'll turn around up here, that way we don't get to more lights. I'll go ahead and press the brakes. It's still able to slow down so fast, even with that trailer behind it. I'm pressing the accelerator a little bit, not make the cars behind me mad. But we will regen quite a bit of energy here. Still not hitting the brakes, which is wild. About to hit the brakes, and I just barely hit them at all. Make sure nothing's coming here. We'll go up here and take a look. So I believe we started at 74. I'll have to look back on the video, and we are now at 61% and have driven 15 miles. But like I said, that is all uphill. Not all, but pretty much all of it. 98%, 1%, 1%. Go back to my view. Had 0.8, 20 minutes to get here, 15.8 miles. So we're about to leave, and we're at 61%. So heading back down. Doing a little bit better at 1.1. So I know there's a ton of people that are going to end up saying, you know, this is ridiculous. You can't go anywhere in these, blah, blah, blah. So when I have this same trailer hooked up to an F-150 with a 3.5 liter power boost, or just 3.5 liter, so we used to have one of those too, we could go like 160, 180 miles, and I would have to stop. I think we would go that far. Might even be less. We'd have to completely fill up with gas, have to stop before we thought we'd run out of gas at a gas station. It's the same problems you would end up having with an electric vehicle. You have to stop more often because you're hauling a gigantic just blocker of wind. It's just a wind wall. So, I mean, getting 1.1 right now, that's not terrible. And this is definitely more downhill than it was uphill. So we will see how it goes, but just want to make sure that everybody that's watching this does understand that gas vehicles use twice as much, if not 3 times as much fuel hauling a trailer. So I don't know why we would expect our electric vehicles to do anything magical from that. The one thing they do that is magical, super quiet in this cab right now. I'm not having to downshift into a gear where there's a happening all the time. And also able to stop much safer because this puts on its regenerative brakes and the motor itself. And then you've got your brake pads. So it's able to have a lot more stopping power with this much weight behind it. A lot more effortless. You just press the accelerator and this thing truly does accelerate. So I don't know, as far as riding in one of these vehicles while it's towing, I'd much rather pick this electric vehicle than drive in any of our gas vehicles, especially our diesel ones, because they're just so loud. And this has much more torque and power, it seems, than even our big F450s and gigantic box trucks. So still looking at 98% power going to driving and just 1% going to accessories. There was a weird glitch at one moment. It showed 99% driving, 1% accessory, 1% climate use. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They could go to 101. But we'll keep on rolling and see how that goes. 2/3 of the way done with this trip. Looks like we're still averaging 1 mile per kilowatt hour. Still at 98.11 and cruising. So there are a few uphill portions to this, but for the majority of it, it is very downhill compared to the other way. So did make what doesn't look like a huge difference, 0.2 better. And then we just went back down, but back up. But if you think about when you're this low a mileage, going up from 0.8 to 1, that's substantial, 20% increase. So that would allow you to go a whole lot further. So still showing 75 miles of range over here and 52% battery. So we did eat through some battery. I mean, realistically, by the end of this trip, we will have went through probably 26%, something like that. So we will head on back and see the final results. Looks like we're about to get stopped up here. I just tapped the brake to let the regen start. It's just amazing. Like, I'm not gonna have to hit the brake to stop before I get up there. In fact, I'm gonna have to hit the accelerator. So just pretty crazy. Again, in this trailer, not having to use the brakes unless it's an emergency situation. Pretty wild. That means your brake pads are gonna last so much longer. Could get 150,000 miles out of a brake pad, which is nice. So still looking like we're going to end up at 1 mile per kilowatt hour. I probably should get on this nice new paved road instead of this side, but we'll figure that out. But we'll go ahead and head on back, get this thing unhooked, and get you guys. And I just heard a noise, and it's going. Looks like our rear trailer is losing air pressure. It was at 40. And now we're just down to 34, 32. Yeah, sad. So I guess we got a flat towards the very end. So I should have definitely gotten that other lane like we were talking about. So I need to get this back and get the trailer off. That's sad. But at least this shows you when you get a flat. And it must be pretty bad because it's going down really fast. Hopefully I can make it back to our shop before it completely goes down. Of course, we're getting stopped by it. Must be bad. It is going down so fast. And of course, I've got stopped by every red light that I could. So frustrating. But that is road construction. They try to clean up what they can, but there's just not much. At least we were finally starting to move a little. I just really don't want it to get down to 0 with the added weight of this trailer and the weight of this truck. And everybody's just going slow as Christmas too. Down to 10, but almost there. It must have been something big that hit it. About to be where we can turn in to drop off the trailer. Down to 9. Well, that is very sad. Hopefully it didn't destroy anything, but got it back just in time. There must be a massive hole somewhere. Let's see if it will hold any air at all. But the weight is just crushed that tire because of how heavy the truck is. Trailer's actually off of it. Inside the Ford service place. Hopefully they'll be able to patch this. We'll have to see. It's gone. So leaving our Long Lewis dealership here. They got everything back in and going. They were able to patch that, which kind of amazed me. This thing ended up being, let's see if I can find it here. I don't know how that was in the tire and then came back out it. I don't even know what this is, to be honest, because it's not a nail. Kind of wild. So Long Lewis did a great job. Very inexpensive, way less than 30 bucks for them to patch it. They said should be fine. So back on the road, get back to the shop. We'll talk about the results of what happened with that towing video. So when we got back to the shop, didn't really have a lot of time to look over the results, but ended up pretty much being 1 mile per kilowatt hour on that trip back. So it did half what we typically would get without a trailer at that speed with continuous driving, but it still gives quite a bit of range, especially if you have the extended range battery pack. And if you have enough places to where you can actually stop and charge, not that big of a deal, but it towed incredibly well with tons of power to be able to do whatever we needed to. So if you found this video helpful, please hit like and subscribe. Have a great day.